Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, let's look at this question from genetics. So this is 2017, paper 2, okay? ECZ biology. So our question here reads, Mrs. Mumba delivered a baby girl in a certain hospital, okay? Then it says Mrs. Mumba has blood group O, and the father to the girl has blood group AB. Mrs. Mumba sues the hospital for giving her a wrong baby with blood group O. Okay? Then question A says, explain using a genetic diagram why Mrs. Mumba would win or lose the case. Then B says, what could have been the correct genotype of the actual the actual father. So, according to the question, we have Mrs. Mumba who just delivered a baby girl. Now, after delivering a baby girl in a certain hospital, she goes on to sue the hospital to say, they've given me a wrong baby. Why? Because Mrs. Mumba's blood group is O, and the father to the girl has blood group AB. And that's the reason she says, because of this, I cannot have a girl with blood group O, because she's considering her blood group and the blood group of the father. So now, they've asked us to use the genetic diagram and explain whether she was right that she cannot have the baby with blood group O if she has blood group O and the father has blood group AB. Was she right that with these two blood groups they cannot produce a baby with blood group O? Or she was wrong, they can produce. So they want us to explain using a genetic diagram. I hope you understand the question. So, a genetic diagram, you need to know that the first step, every time, you need to have the parental phenotype. Okay, so because of space, I'll do this. The first thing, you need to have the parental phenotype. So I'll say P phenotype. So the phenotype is how we look outside, or how something looks outside. Okay, the genetic expression. So the parental phenotype, we have Mr. Mumba, who's crossing with Mrs. Mumba. Okay? So this is the first step. Mr. Mumba is crossing with Mrs. Mumba. This is our parental phenotype. Then you need to have the parental genotype. Genotype is how something is genetically placed inside. Okay, so for the parental genotype, we need to take the genotype of Mr. Mumba and Mrs. Mumba. So how do we tell the genotype from the information we've been given? We've been told that Mrs. Mumba has blood group O and Mr. Mumba blood group AB. So for Mr. Mumba blood group AB, well, when we are writing the parental genotype here, we express the chromosomes using the what? Using letters. So for the blood group, we use letter I, capital letter I. So since this is blood group AB, you say I, then you get the blood group, it's AB. So these ones becomes powers in this case. So it's going to be I. I is symbolizing, we use it for the chromosome of the blood group, okay, every time. So this is I, then we have blood group AB, so our A will be here. Then we also have another I here, where we are going to put our blood group AB. So A is here, B is here. These are the ones we are going to use to express or to symbolize or to show the chromosomes. Then this is crossing with Mrs. Mumba has O. So for the blood group, I'm saying we use I. And since this is O, it's going to be like this. This is O. Okay? That's the first thing. Then after here, now we need to do what? we need to bring these things here, the genotype. So we will say this is I. You leave a space. You say this is B. So for these ones here, some, if you want, you may leave it like this. If you want, you may circle it. It's one and the same. If you circle it, it will help you when we start crossing, okay? But if you don't mind, if you don't want, you can just leave them like this. So I'm gonna circle them here. Even this one, you say I, you just separate the two. Then I here will also be like this, okay? Then, so these ones, now, these are what? These are our gametes. So, these are our gametes. Okay, the gamete stage. From here now, we can start random fertilization, which is crossing. Now, how do we cross? So, you get the first letter, in this case I, with this A. This one is going to cross with this genotype. So the first time you are going to say it will be like this. Okay. Then it's going to cross with what? Okay, let me shorten it. So it's going to cross with the first, okay, the first pair. So when it crosses with this, what are we going to produce here? This is I with A, right? I with A. And this is what? I with O. Okay? So this is the genotype. This is how it's going to go. Meaning this is their first child. This is the genotype the first child is going to have. This A crosses with this O and will produce this. This MA now has to cross with what? With this second what? Second O. So here we have our I with A, which crosses with what? Our I with A here crosses with this I with O. Okay, and this is how it's going to look. Then when we come to this one, it will be like this. So this crosses with this, because this one also has to cross with both this one and this one. So it will cross with this for the first time. And this is I with what? B. And we also get this one. And it's going to be I with O here. Then the last one. This now will cross with the last one here. Okay? And we are going to have our I, B here, which crosses with this I, O here. Okay, so this is random fertilization. We say random fertilization. Okay, this stage. And these are the genotypes of the what? Of the children. Okay, so you say this is what? F1 offspring. The offspring genotype. This is the one. So this is the filial one offspring what? Genotype. It's going to be like this. I hope you've seen how I was crossing. Then from here now we can have the F1 offspring what? This is genotype. So we need to have the phenotype also for the what? For the offspring. Because this is their genetic composition. But how are they going to be expressed? So F1, which is the offspring, phenotype. So for the phenotype, we just use the genotype. Okay? So by looking at the genotype, this has A and this has what? O. Now one thing you need to understand, for the blood groups, A and B are dominant, while O is what? Is recessive. That is very important. Meaning, whenever A pairs with O, A will be expressed because it has more power. It is dominant. Something that is dominant, it is something that has more power, that is dominating. So, meaning, if A finds itself with O, the blood group for the child will be A, because A is dominant, it has more power, while O is what? Is recessive. Even that's the same case even with B. B has more power. So A and B are both dominant. No wonder when these two meet, they both express themselves and the person will have blood group AB. Okay? So in this case, A is going to be expressed, meaning for the offspring phenotype, we will say this one has blood group what? Blood group A. Okay? This one, because O is recessive, A is dominant. Even this one has blood group what? A, because we have A and O. This one will have blood group what? This one will have blood group B. And this one will also have blood group B. Okay? That is it for these ones. Then you need to also state the what? The ratio. So for the ratio, how many A's do we have? We have 2. Okay? So this is 2 to 2. But we can reduce 2 to 2. And if we reduce 2 into 2, 2 into 2, it's going to be 1 to 1, right? So our ratio is 1 to 1. Okay? That is our ratio. So, according to the question, they wanted us to use this genetic diagram and tell whether Mrs. Mumba was going to win. Because Mrs. Mumba said, I cannot have a child with blood group O because my husband has blood group AB and I have O. So according to the results, we can see that surely among the children, there is no any children with blood group O. Why? Remember what I explained? I said A is dominant and B is dominant, meaning whenever these meets the genotype O, they will always dominate over it. Okay? So meaning Mrs. Mumba was what? Was right. So you write now that she was going to what? She will win. So you say Mrs. Mumba will what? Will win. Why? The reason is simple, because there is no any offspring with blood group O. Meaning this child that they gave her with blood group O was not her child. So she was right. I hope you get the concept. Okay? Then the last thing now, they say what could have been the correct genotype of the what? Of the father. So the correct genotype, meaning you need to consider that for the correct genotype where the child has O, here the blood group should be, this is for B, either I, this can work, or this can also work, or this can also work. Meaning the actual father had this one, or this one, or this one. If the actual father had this one, this would have crossed with one of these and they would have produced OO. And that's the only way the child would have come with O. Even this one, this O would have crossed with these O's and they would have produced blood group O. Okay? Even this one also, if it crossed with this, they would have produced the offspring with blood group O. So these would have been these are the actual blood groups for the father of this child with blood group what? O. I hope you get the concept. So this is Genetics 2017.